Like one of the things at YC we often talk about is do things that don't scale. Was this one of those things where,
Oh, for sure.
you had to go and do those initial deliveries at 10 minutes and realized there's actually a palpable difference in that experience from the customer?
100%. So I think in the middle of the batch, we started getting a lot more pushback from users, or where basically we're just not seeing the retention, right? In the early days when you're delivering like in an hour. And so people would use the app the next week, 3-4% of people use it again. And so that's when we started talking to people, and lots of things came out like selection, pricing, quality, but this was one of the big ones. And so we said, okay, we have to be at their doorstep. So what KV and I did is we went to one of the stores on the platform, and we basically commandeered the store ourselves, right? And we ran it for a short period of time, but we did a pilot where we said if we are able to control the customer experience end to end, including the delivery time, what's the reaction that we get? And so I was basically like the shopkeeper for a couple of days. KV was delivering, and we could basically see that, at the customer's doorstep, there was a lot more delight. And that was obviously the subjective indicator. And then as we sort of got to a couple hundred orders with that model, we could see that, hey, people are actually repeating at like, obviously the data was not as sophisticated, but we could see the very early signs of, hey, these like 10 people that ordered last week, a good chunk of them are still ordering this week. Maybe that's a good thing.
You did this unscalable thing. You did it yourself. You're
Yeah.
not running around and hiring other people to do it. You're directly experiencing it. But as a result, you sort of ran it to ground, and you had this like very
Yeah.
intuitive idea about what the product needed to become.
For sure. And I think that it started with like the subjective intuition, just like what are human beings telling you verbally. Over time, it became more objective, right? Which is like, what's the retention of each cohort that we're seeing? Are we seeing that repeatability? And I think that rigor of testing whether we had PMF came from the grinding we had to do at YC. YC was probably that most intense period where we learned all of these frameworks very quickly. And so Jared would push us saying, okay, you're getting good verbal feedback, but are people really repeating? And if that's the case, then you're building something real versus just like a hypothesis.